You might think your tomato plants are struggling because of the weather, or the soil, or maybe bad seeds. But in most cases, most tomato plants don't die from neglect. They die from things people do every single day, thinking they're actually helping. All the simple mistakes we look into here eventually add up and kill your plant, or get you very low yields. Sometimes farmers don't even notice the damage until it's already too late. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the most common mistakes that quietly kill tomato plants, and more importantly, how to fix them before they ruin your harvest. Once you see these, you probably won't look at your tomato plants the same way again. Let's start with the one mistake almost everyone makes: overwatering. Now, it sounds harmless, right? You think you're helping the plant. But tomatoes don't like constantly wet soil. When the roots sit in water too long, they can't breathe. And when roots can't breathe, they start to rot. That's when you see yellow leaves, drooping plants, and slow growth. And most people, they water even more, thinking it's a lack of water, which makes it worse. What to do instead? Water deeply but less often. Let the top inch of soil dry out before watering again. Tomatoes like consistency, not constant moisture. This next mistake is subtle but deadly. This is watering your tomato plants from above. When water sits on the leaves, especially in warm conditions, you're basically inviting disease. Fungal problems like blight and leaf spot spread fast in moist leaves. And once these problems start, they are hard to stop. When you want to water your tomato plants, always water at the base and keep the leaves dry as much as possible. Early morning watering is best because it gives the plant time to dry out during the day. Now, the next mistake is an honest one that usually comes from excitement. You've got seedlings, you want more tomatoes, but you have a limited garden space, so what do? The genius in you tells you to plant them close together, because what can go wrong, right? The thing is, just like most plants in your garden, tomatoes also need space. When they're crowded, the airflow drops, the humidity rises, and the diseases spread faster. And instead of the strong plants you were hoping to have, you get weak ones because they're all competing for the few available resources you have in your garden. Always ensure you give your tomato plants room to grow, at least 18 to 24 inches apart. This will ensure they have the space they need to grow into healthier plants. Tomatoes are sun-hungry plants. If they're not getting enough light, they stretch, weaken, and produce less fruit. You might get a ton of leaves, but not tomatoes, and there's nothing much we can do with potato leaves, is there? After you plant your tomatoes, give them at least 6 to 8 hours of full sun daily. The sunlight will do them good, as it will help them become energetic enough to create wonderful fruits. The other mistake is the refusal or hindsight of supporting your tomato plants. This one sneaks up on people. At first, the plant looks fine. Then it grows, gets heavy, and suddenly it starts collapsing. When tomato plants sprawl on the ground, airflow drops, the fruit touches soil, and this invites a swarm of diseases and all sorts of fungal infections to your fruit. Always use stakes, cages, and trellises to support your plants early, not after it falls over. Over-fertilizing. This one surprises people who think that more fertilizer is equal to more growth. If you add too much nitrogen to your tomato plant, you get big, leafy plants with little to no fruit. The plant looks healthy, but it's not producing. Always use balanced fertilizer and in the recommended quantities. Also, ensure you use at the right time and stage of growth. For instance, once flowering starts, reduce nitrogen, increase phosphorus and potassium, as this is what drives fruit production. Ignoring early warning signs. This is where most people lose their plants. Tomatoes actually tell you when something is wrong. There are signs on the plant, such as yellowing leaves, curling, spots, or slow growth. But people ignore it or wait too long, and by the time they act, the damage is already deep. Always check your plants regularly because small problems are easy to fix, but when they develop into something big, it becomes impossible to fix. Now, when you look at all of these mistakes, you start to realize that most tomato plants don't fail because they're hard to grow, but because of small mistakes we make that stack up over time. Too much water, not enough space, and wrong habits may seem harmless initially, but they quietly damage the plant in the long run. Fix these mistakes, and your tomatoes won't just survive, they'll actually produce the way they're supposed to. If you found this helpful, go ahead and subscribe and stay tuned for simple, practical ways to get more from your garden.